Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of The Weekly. This is your spot every Thursday to check out the latest trends and innovations we're seeing in the marketplace. This week's episode is brought to you by Women in Design and Construction. And this is a live connected event. And what does that mean? Well, we just finished one this week, and it was fantastic. We had great speakers, live roundtables. We had different tracks and segmentation. We had networking, and we had wine tasting. We had a little bit of everything, and you can completely personalize your experience. We would love to see you join us. So what are we seeing from the marketplace? Really, from the time we launched the Weekly, it's innovation. There's no two ways about it. This year, 2020, it will be called many things by all of us, and all of it richly deserved. But it could also be called the year of innovation because we're seeing so much of it. So let's get into today's segment. In our first segment, Manny Gonzalez from KTGY talks about universal design in multifamily housing. What is universal design? Don't get it mixed up with ADA. It's not that, but it is design that benefits all occupants.
Universal design has absolutely nothing to do with ADA. It tries to accomplish a lot of the same things, but it does it in a much better way. And I think one of the best ways of explaining it is what Mary Jo Peterson used to say is, you don't notice universal design until you benefit from using it. So it's taking things like a grab bar, which the ADA requires, but whenever you see an ADA grab bar, it's a round bar that looks institutional, looks like a hospital.
Ugly.
Yeah, these manufacturers today, like Kohler, are making beautiful ones. Their choreograph line is absolutely spectacular, and you would never know it's a grab bar. It looks like a piece of decoration in a bathroom.
Right.
So you're able to use it like a grab bar, but it doesn't meet ADA. So all the things that ADA tries to do, universal design generally does better and in a more beautiful way, a more graceful way.
In our middle segment today, we go back to higher ed. We looked at this issue before the kids went back to school, and boy, were they excited. I think the research we said were 90% of them wanted to go back to college. But the question is, now that they're back there, how have the health and safety measures that were put in place, are they working?
We were getting questions from some of our college and university clients of, help us figure out how many students we can get back into class. What is this going to mean in terms of our enrollment capacities, and how can we address classes that used to seat 50 students, and now we can only fit half of that based on the social distancing recommendations. So we did a pretty comprehensive study of different facilities that we had designed, also working with our clients on some other facilities that were pre-existing, and helped them to determine what occupancies they could get back into their classroom spaces. And in general, we were finding that the occupancies were even lower than were expected. So having a series of guidelines and some metrics for them to look at in terms of how the registrars could even schedule classes and students in seats was a really big help to so many of our institutions, and that became a foundation for many in terms of developing their plans for the return to campus this fall. Mm-hmm. So I'm pleased to say that for the most part, that was adapted pretty well in our academic settings as students came back onto campus. I think the greater challenges that we've seen as the return to campus has happened is what happens outside of the academic classroom.
One of the things I say about the Weekly all the time is I learned so much that makes my conversational skills much, much better. So here's a topic I didn't know much about. Urban reprogramming, adaptive reuse. Then you throw COVID into those. What is it? And can you actually move strip malls and convert them into housing?
Well, let's see. So first of all, we kind of specialize in adaptive reuse of existing buildings.
And typically we do a lot of office buildings that are being converted into hotel or housing, or a different type of office, or very mixed use. So when the pandemic was starting to happen, we said, oh, because we had a little less work. So we're like, how can we use our energies to do something, use our creative problem solving skills? So it's like, what are the buildings that we see that might be really impacted by this pandemic? So we specifically sought after some just case study buildings in Los Angeles, which, can be anywhere. So the first was a strip shopping mall. So obviously we know that retail was already kind of diminishing a little bit and increased vacancies prior to the pandemic, and this is only going to increase. So we looked at how a shopping mall could be converted into housing, which isn't something that some people normally think about, but really there's a lot of situations in which this is kind of a perfect adaptive reuse of this building type. So just in Los Angeles alone, there are 675 strip malls, which cover 24 million square feet of ground area. And they're often set back from the street. They usually have a lot of parking. They usually have a lot of glass on the front, and the depths are significantly deep. And so it really lays out very well to take these buildings for housing. So the model that we used is an L-shaped building. It's in West LA, and there's a bunch of, there's the surface parking, and then there's the below grade parking. So the majority of the circulation, vertical circulation as well as horizontal, can remain. And then approximately every storefront could accommodate 2 600-foot units, which all kind of center and face on the parking area, which would then turn into like this beautiful garden and common area. Also, strip malls tend to be on commercial corridors, so they have great access to other parts of the city. So they really kind of lay out pretty easily.
That ends our segment for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have the opportunity, check out the information on women and design and construction. We'd love for you to join us. If you missed any episodes or just want to keep up to date, here's the address for Horizon TV and for YouTube. And I've been getting some great emails, so if you have any ideas about what you'd like to see on the show, please email me. Here's the information. With the holidays coming up, maybe we'll shake it up a little bit. Be open to some ideas. So have a safe week. Please wear your mask. It's getting worse out there, so please do that. And we look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Thank you.